What is up, gym fans? It is the week of December 29th. I'm Patricia.
And I'm Carissa.
And this is Decoded.
In the new year.
In the new year, recording in the last year.
We're talking about the future.
We're talking about the future.
Kind of time traveling a little bit.
Whoa.
And that's exactly
add that filter where we get like, I don't know, wibbly wobbly or whatever.
I'll be like, and that's exactly how we feel right now.
It is. It's Crimbo Limbo, actually. So
it is.
Somebody called it Dead Week. I saw somebody, The Atlantic or something called it Dead Week. I think that's lame. I like Crimbo Limbo. Well, we have a great episode today. We have our first guest. I think pretty hype, pretty killer first guest. We have Carissa is going to intro him and all of the things, and I will, in my wobble, I will tell you why I'm not part of this interview. But that being said, we have Mr. Owen Field to tease it a little bit because obviously we still have our top 10, so we want you to stick around. But we have Owen Field of Florida, of WCGA, of elite coach extraordinaire to Sky and Leanne and all of the things. So
all the peoples, all the things.
He does a lot.
He does a lot.
I'm very impressed.
You're going to see in the interview, like I would say things or like say one of the names of the athletes he talks about and he'll be like, oh, and this person, or when this happened, or, and I do this. And I'm like, right. Let's keep on adding up.
How do you do it all? I don't know if it was him or if it was somebody else, but I know that man travels. I know that man is around. He's like,
he was
going around the globe.
I was up at 4 a.m. and I was like, this interview on my time is at like, what was it? It was at like 8 a.m.
That's pretty early.
Yeah, I had to get up at like 6:30. I was like, you're kidding. I know I've been up for hours. I'm like,
we did have to get up early for it. Like we were trying to coordinate with him, and this isn't like at all a complaint or anything. We're like, we're gonna work with your schedule. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. Yeah. We appreciate it. But he was just like, I can make this work and this work, and we were just like, you know what, Owen, we will talk to you at like, what was it, 9 a.m. Maybe it was 9. I think it was 9 a.m.
Yeah, talk your time. And then that's
at our time. It was 8 a.m. Chris's time.
Who is notoriously the night owl of the team.
I'm actually a night owl, but Chris, I think, beats me.
Yeah, I'm like a chronically questionable night.
I'm a night
owl.
But
I'm working to fix it, and that's why I'm so tired this week. So, Owen, I'm trying to be you, brother.
So let's get into the sticks and wobbles, and then we will do our top 10 and get to listen to this fabulous interview. So, my sticks and wobbles, I'll be quick because Carissa has hers with Owen in a bit. But that being said, my wobble is a preface as to why I'm not in this interview. We tried to get me onto this interview, but my Wi-Fi decided to completely bleep the brick. I guess that's probably good. That's probably it just went to crap. So which I think in the days previous to this interview, our whole neighborhood Wi-Fi had collapsed. And
oh my God, you never told me that.
Yes, I didn't even think about it because I was on vacation. I had just come back from vacation, like literally the night before this interview, and they were dealing with it while I was on vacation. So I'm like off in La La Land. I'm not listening to this. It's like, what does Matthew McConaughey say? It's just like, it's just off and whatever. So that being said, I think AT&T credited us like $10 on the Wi-Fi was out like all day or like for 2 days or something.
You should have sent them revenue that cost, you know?
So all that to be said, we hopped on and my Wi-Fi was not working, and so for the sake of respecting Owen's time and Carissa's time, I was like, peace, guys. Y'all enjoy your conversation. And that's just how show business works, I guess. So
yeah, he was so understanding about it, though.
I felt so bad. It was just like the morning after I got back from my cruise, and I was like, what a way to be thrown into it after my vacation.
Yeah, I was worried your head was going to explode.
Thankfully, I have a child that makes me chill out about a lot of things.
Love
That being said, and then my stick is that I had a great Christmas with Henry. It was so fun. It was so cute. He's putting the magic back in Christmas for me. Once you get to like 30 years old and you're just like, you got to work to make Christmas magical. But
Dude, yeah.
having a kid definitely makes it fun. I think that the next few years will be even more fun because he was just like, ah,
Yeah. Like right now, he just is like smiling at you. He's like,
He's
what are
just
you people
he's
doing?
like, "I've never received this many toys in my life, and I don't even know what a toy is."
Yeah, he's like he's not conscious enough yet. You know what I mean?
No, but
Yeah.
it's still fun, so
He's adorable.
Alright, let's get into our top 10 gymnastics headlines. This is not of this week, this is of the past couple of weeks because we took a break for the holidays, but we're gonna catch you up real quick and give you the
Yeah.
gist of what you need to know before our interview. So, number 1. NCAA season starts this week. Woohoo! Also, I'm coming for you guys who decided to schedule like 5 meets the day after New Year's.
Yeah. Thanks.
Um, thank
I'm
you.
sure the girls are really happy about it as well.
The women's NCAA preseason poll came out, I guess like a week or 2 ago. Unsurprisingly, Oklahoma topped the poll, and all 9 SEC teams were in the top 12. Crazy. This week, we've got a handful of meets this weekend, or not this week, this weekend, whatever. Beginning with Iowa and Minnesota at Utah on Friday. California, Oregon State, and UCLA will travel to Washington on Saturday in an exciting opening weekend quad meet. And closing out the weekend on Sunday, we'll get a look at 4 other intriguing teams. Towson visits Clemson, and Iowa State goes to Mizzou. So, and we will have updates from those top meets over the weekend.
Yes.
So stay tuned to our social channels.
Yep. Me and Patricia will just be watching college gym all weekend.
Mm-hmm.
What a great way to start the new year, though, kind of. Like, that's nice.
Yes. So good. I just want to rest.
Like, you could have started it that following week.
That's my thing. I love college gymnastics, don't get me wrong. I just am really in like my holiday mood, and I don't like it being my bubble being busted earlier than I would typically like. So
yeah, I get that. Headline number 2 in serious news. After a years-long investigation, Safe Sport has suspended Gage coaches Al Fong and Armine Barutyan for physical and emotional misconduct. Fong is suspended for 5 years and Barutyan for 1 year. Gage has indicated the coaches will appeal. More details are on our website.
Number 3, the Southeast Asian Games, aka the SEA Games, took place earlier this month or last month because it's January 1st. And some familiar names won some hardware. LSU alum Aaliyah Finnegan won vault gold and beam bronze for the Philippines, and Tikamporn Soren Tornta won gold on floor 2 months after becoming the first Thai gymnast to qualify to a world final.
Headline number 4, Becky Downey posted on Instagram Tuesday sharing that she has been struggling to access adequate training facilities. The 2-time world medalist and Team Great Britain Olympian said, quote, "In the middle of 3 major surgeries, I was left in a position with no coaches, no training gym, and 8 months down the line, I'm still in a position where trying to access the correct equipment, facilities is hindering preparations for the 2026 competitive season." She said she doesn't know what 2026 holds, but alluded to the fact that while she doesn't want to leave the sport like this, if she can't get the situation figured out, it will be hard to get back on the competition floor. That is so sad to hear.
Bummer. She just never like it seems like she just can never be treated properly. I don't understand. So we will see how that goes. It's very unfortunate to hear. And no situation should Becky Downey, should any gymnast, but especially Becky Downey, be at a loss for training facilities.
Yeah, no, that's insane.
Or coaching. Like, that's crazy.
Doesn't add up. Yeah.
Number 5, Shilese Jones is making her way back on bars. She recently shared a video of her first time gripping up since shoulder surgery. That's a tongue twister.
I know it is.
I just realized I wrote a tongue
to say that, and I'm like,
since shoulder surgery is really hard. And of course, she looks stunning, even just doing some toe-ons. So we're really excited to see Shy getting back and hopefully get to see her compete this upcoming year. We'll see.
Yeah, that was a big day. That was exciting. All right, headline number 6. The CGA All-Star Meet has come and gone. Team East reclaimed the title in the preseason men's NCAA exhibition. Fred Richard was named MVP after competing in 4 of the 6 events.
I know Carissa watched that. She enjoyed it. Carissa enjoyed it.
I kind of was like not excited about having to watch it in the car, I'll be honest. And I just don't like the live stream aspect. Like, why can't we do more? Anyways, well, I don't like that it was like pre-recorded. You know what I mean? Like, it's like such an interesting format. But then I watched it and I was like, wait, this is kind of fun. And who they had announcing it, like, it was so entertaining to listen to their conversation and their banter. So they did really good. I think maybe in the future, I think it would be really cool to make it an actual in-person preseason thing. That'd be so cool. I feel like at this point we gotta zhuzh up the men's presence. Like, come on.
I love it. We need a big donor to give some money to NCAA men's gymnastics so we can do that in person.
Yes, I agree.
But weren't you like raving about Max Auden too?
Oh my God. Yeah. I was. It was
on
insane.
High Bar.
It was insane. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever. I was just like, wow. And I was just like in the car because I was trapped in the car for 18 hours because I couldn't get on my flight in New Jersey. So I had to drive with my family to Florida to try to get on a plane there. And I'm like, don't worry, Patricia, I still got this. I got it, girl. Don't worry, girl. And I was just like this. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get car sick. Blah, blah, blah. First of all, I don't even get car sick. I think I was just like tired. Like, I was just like, ugh. And then I was like sitting in the back of the car and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. My mom and my sister were like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, this is actually really like interesting. And now I'm intrigued and it's going to be one of my favorite events. So
there you go. A rave review of the CGA All-Star Meet. If you didn't get to watch it, but you want to know what Carissa is raving about, thankfully, even because it is a stream and it is on YouTube, it is accessible and I'm pretty sure you can go back and watch it.
And the format is so fast. Like, it really is.
Oh yeah, it goes really quick.
I thought that was part of the reason I was like probably not looking forward to doing this in the car was because I was like, oh, for the next like 2 hours, 3 hours, I'm going to have to be like on my phone hoping the Wi-Fi doesn't go out. And it was so fast. It was like 45 minutes to an hour and I was done. Not even, I don't think. Yeah. Nice. So highly recommend if you got some free time and you're interested. It really did get me so excited for men's NCAA season.
Men's isn't really back until definitely not. There's no men's meets this weekend.
Yeah.
So I think there might be a couple next weekend. So with that in mind, if there's a hole in your heart for men's NCAA gymnastics, you can go watch that.
Or if you haven't gotten into it yet, I recommend the latest CGA All-Star Meet to hype yourself into it. It's really good.
All right, number 7. Speaking of Fred Richard, he launched National Backflip Day on December 21st. We don't really know if it's officially official. There was something about like having like 10,000 people participate.
Yeah.
I'm sure 10,000 people participated, but I don't know, whatever. But it seemed to have a good turnout, and we think we'll be celebrating this gymnastics holiday for years to come. So good job to everybody who organized it and all the peeps for participating. It was so funny when we were posting about it and people were like, post yourself doing a backflip. Like, but you don't have to do a backflip. Like, other things can do a backflip. And people were like, I will break my neck.
No,
why would you incite me to do a backflip? And I was just like, guys, like flip a coin.
Read the fine print.
Flip a water bottle.
Judgment. I know. Nope. I was like, you should have seen me and Patricia trying to like decipher how to write this graphic. So that's like one.
We're just like, how do we inform people?
So it made sense without people trying to go do a backflip and hurting themselves. Yeah.
Like, thankfully, most people have their wits about them and know if they do not have the proper training to not go and just like attempt a backflip. Like, even though in a previous life I was able to do a backflip easily, in no shape or fashion did I go and do one.
Right. I thought about posting a backflip video from like when I was a cheerleader
You should
and
have.
tagging
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but then I felt really washed up, and I was like, this feels crazy for me to do.
Carissa, you can't let your ego get in the way of National Backflip Day.
I
You
know,
have to,
and now if it didn't happen, we can all blame me.
it's all
I'm the
Carissa's fault.
reason. We were at 9,999, and we missed it
Fred,
because
it's Carissa's fault. You can get her on the live stream next year and make her do a backflip in front of everybody.
Oh, on the live stream. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna go take a couple more solid core classes really quick. And also maybe run a few laps. Like yeah, because I can do that right now. Honestly, I used to have this thing where I had to do a back tuck once a year just to remind myself that I got it. Still have it. Still got it. I'm tired. And I haven't done that in like 3 years. So I'm a little don't know how to go. You know what I'm saying?
You know, Evan Manivong, of formerly Illinois, who's now over at Bama doing social, he is doing something in that similar air and doing trying to stick a triple full every month. So you're in the same boat.
Right. Yeah, the triple full and the standing back tuck. Sure, Patricia. You're on a roll right now. You should keep going. You're stand-up comedy.
I'm delusional. It's been a long day, and I told Johnny at like 10 a.m. I was like, I need a stiff drink. I'm not an alcoholic. I was just joking.
Honestly, I feel a lot better because I feel like I got ran over by a bus and then they hit and we're like looked back and we're like, we didn't hit her hard enough. So they backed up and then went again. That's kind of how I've been feeling like the last week. Not really sure. I think I'm just like tired. The holidays are a lot sometimes. And I was like, wow, you are just like a negative Nelly. I was telling Patricia, like, everything that could go wrong yesterday went wrong. I was like, what did I say? I was like, I couldn't find the positive Polly in me if somebody paid me right now. And I was like, wow, I'm just like such a Grinch. But now you're making me feel a lot better. So you're feeling it too.
It's fine.
All right, back on track here. Headline number 8. Since we've got a killer interview this week, we're throwing our Gymnasts Are People Too right here into our top 10. And we're highlighting Simone Biles and Suni Lee, who were serving as guest photographers for the NFL. This has sparked some debate on sports media, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. But when does something not spark a debate nowadays? Cool nonetheless. If you care so deeply about this, you need to get a hobby.
Touch grass. I don't know. Look, we're in the sports media field. I've worked in the sports media field for a hot minute now. And I know, like, there were some photographers that were just like, I've been a photographer for 10 years and I've never even like gotten close to breathing at a credential for an NFL game. And I'm just like, this is a harebrained marketing scheme. It's just something for social media. In no shape or fashion were they formally and actually credentialed. And I'm pretty sure Simone like shot for like pregame or like 1/4 or something and then went up to her club and partied it up like she always does while watching her husband's game. So
I was gonna say her husband's on the team.
she's just taking
Nonetheless,
I don't know.
They are Olympic gymnasts.
They're not photographers and they're not coming to take your job.
There's
but
so
if you want
much
to come
grass
and shoot
in this world that needs to be laid on. I recommend that you potentially find yourself a spot and roll around in it. Smell the roses. See if it brings you back to reality because that is insane.
But that being said, you know, if Simone and Suni, if you somehow listen to this and you want to come shoot gymnastics for us, I'm sure USAG will credential you for us.
Oh yeah, hey.
Come after it. I know that would be insane costs though, so I don't know if we have the budget.
If you guys want to co-host a podcast though, let us know.
Yeah, come on.
Come on. If you guys are happy with your side quests, we'll gladly have you.
We'll do another side quest. Yeah, come host.
And I bet you our fans would not be mad about it. Just saying.
All right. Number 9. Will we see Jeffrey Scott back in elite gymnastics. The Georgia gymnast told us never say never. You can check out the full story on our site before Georgia gets its season underway on January 10th. But the skinny of it is that she is basically considering returning to elite, but she would probably stay at Georgia and train under Cecile. She said when she talked to Ian, one of our writers who wrote this story, she used to train at Gage. This was before the news about Al Fong and Armine Barutian came out. But she said that moving back to Kansas City, where Gage is, would be an L move. So that probably sums that up.
She said it.
Mm-hmm.
Headline number 10. Be on the lookout. Our preseason look at Clemson gymnastics will drop this week. Keep an eye on social and our site for behind the scenes look at this new era for the Tigers. Can I just say, before we head to this interview, it is so nice to talk about an ACC team, a new program with lightness around it instead of this weird, dark, kind of rumored vibe we had when they first launched. Like, I feel like we can actually enjoy this team this year.
Yeah. It's so funny because, like, of course, everybody has heard about, the Amy Smith stuff and all of the things. And of course, that was like the first 2 seasons of Clemson. So we're in season 3. It feels like much longer. It seems like there's been more teams. But even from our perspective, covering the team, it has been like that. And it's been like, why can we not basically like get in contact with anybody? Why can't we like do these things? Like blah, blah, blah. And that was not just us. We had heard from, around the gymternet media realm of the same things where it was the similar issues and stuff and everything. So now we don't have that issue, which is pretty telling of what, has transpired over the past few months, that everything is just kind of opened up and it's so much more lighthearted and exciting and all of the things. So all that to be said, really excited to show you our look. We've got a couple. These are all from our contributor, Claudia Chikamian, who Carissa loves her last name.
Just about to say another phenomenal last name.
But we have she wrote up a couple of stories for us, did a video feature, and we have a couple of other things that we'll share on social and stuff. So be on the lookout, and we're excited to share.
All right. Welcome back to Decoded. Obviously, I'm the one doing the intro, so Patricia is not with us right now. Unfortunately, we're having some technical difficulties on her end, but we are so lucky today because we have Owen Field from University of Florida with us this morning. Everybody say welcome. Go Gators. All right. We have come up with just a few questions. We are getting hype for NCAA season over here. I know you're super hype about it, so we wanted to have him on, ask him some things. But we're going to start with what we do here at Dakota. We call it our sticks and our wobbles. So that's one good thing that happened to you this week and one probably not so good thing that happened to you this week. Mine is going to be my wobble is that my flight got canceled because of a snowstorm. So I got back to Chicago very late this week. My stick is that my sister got married. So that was really cool. What are yours, Owen?
I would say my stick is that we had hype night on Monday and it was a big success. We had a great crowd turnout. And the team just did a really great job of showcasing the hard work that they've been putting in this fall. We had a lot of really high quality routines that were showcased, and I think it was a great opportunity for them to get out in front of Gator Nation and kind of show what we're all about this year. Wobble, that's a tricky one.
I know.
I would say, wobble. I've had a busy week, so I've had to stay up past my bedtime a few nights.
That's tough.
And normally I'm like really consistent about getting to bed by like 10:30 because I get up early, but sometimes you just got to push through and get stuff done. So I would say that's been the negative of my week is just having to stay up late a couple nights, but I'll get through it.
Okay, good. We're hoping for you. The good news is that you said you're an early morning person, so this podcast time is not too bad for you then.
Oh yeah, I've been up for about 4.5 hours already, so we're good.
I commend you. I commend you. I am a night owl, so amen. You enjoy those mornings. All right. So we are going to move on to some questions because he's busy. We're busy. We want to get you guys the stuff you want to know. So, our first section that we want to talk about was kind of Twitter and fan engagement. So, you've kind of become known for being pretty honest and engaged on Twitter, which isn't super common among the coaches. Sometimes we see it in the athletes in the gym world, but coaches, I feel like you're kind of in your own realm over there. Can you kind of tell us where that comes from and why you're so active?
I think I would say partially I just feel I'm most active on X or Twitter, whatever people call it now. And it's just it's because like I really enjoy the app and the ability to like share information or consume information in really high volumes in a short amount of time and with like little effort. And I think that I personally wish, like, I encourage coaches all the time to be on it more, because I think that it's a really great platform for being able to share information. And I think a lot of times when there are issues that pop up, in our sport in particular, it's because the communication is lacking and people just aren't aware of the realities of situations. And so I think that that's an area where we can all do a better job and help to better educate and inform our fan bases or casual sports fans even, to bring them into gymnastics.
I love that. So how did you get into the X Twitter world of it all? Like, do you remember when was the first time you shot off a tweet and you were like, "Oh, this might become a thing"?
I don't know. I've I've been on for since I was in college, but I don't know. I've had a few over the years that have stirred the pot a little bit, and I just I like to have fun with it. Like I'm never malicious or anything like that. It's just like playful and I like to do question and answers and things like that. And when people engage, it's more fun because then it gives you something to work with and, all of that.
Awesome. Have you ever drafted a tweet and then deleted it?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you wanna share what it no, I'm kidding.
There's a reason that those ones get deleted.
All right. So, my final question kind of for this section is do you see that presence as part of your job now? You kind of talked about how it helps with educating and communication. Is this kind of something that you think is maybe necessary or lacking that you'd want people to start including in their coaching roles?
Oh, absolutely. I think the more people that are engaging with our fans in various platforms, whether it's podcasts or their personal social media accounts or um, posting on Instagram, whatever it is, like I think even speaking engagements and things, just the more that people hear about gymnastics and are consuming information, the better it is for everybody.
Awesome. Has that only heightened since you stepped into the GM role?
Uh, yeah, I'd say a little bit. Like I think it's always been, an area of interest for me, but I think now it's a little bit easier for me to justify focusing segments of time on it because it does directly impact, some of those responsibilities.
Awesome. All right. Are you ready to move to the gymnastics of it all?
Let's go for it.
Okay. So let's talk about Florida season preview. Let's zoom out. Big picture here. What feels different for this Florida team heading into the season?
It sounds silly, but there's just like the vibe in the gym is just it's different. Like you asked what's different, but it's the the focus and the ability to work together, it has elevated to a level that we haven't had here before. And um, the team, they've kind of developed a motto for the year. It's called the Promise, and they really kind of worked through the summer. We sat down right after semifinals last year. Everybody had a bad taste in their mouth, right? Like it was just kind of a little bit of an off day for us, and we weren't quite good enough to get to the final that day. And they they really spent the summer kind of developing this motto and this standard that they want to live by this year to do everything that they can to ensure that that doesn't happen again. And I think that the real difference is that everybody's bought into it, everybody's on board, like they're all working together, moving in the same direction, and it's been really special to see that on a daily basis and just be a part of something so, I don't know, it's just like elevated. Like it's just really special to be around. It's like an energy. You have to come hang out at practice sometime and you'll see what I mean.
I was about to say the vibe matters. The vibe matters,
It
especially
does. It makes a huge difference. Like
in a
you
team
like
atmosphere.
yeah, and when you're like, if you go to any of the top 5 or 10 teams, like there's a lot of good gymnastics that's happening all the time. Anybody has the gymnastics that's necessary to be able to win a national championship. And there's all these little things that happen throughout the year, like that either push you a little bit forward or hold you back just a little bit. And at the end of the day, the final standings are impacted more by those outside of the gym things and the relationships and the chemistry and all of that than the skills themselves.
100%. Love a energy shift. Awesome. All right. How are you approaching the season with your quote unquote star athletes, especially balancing that health, pacing, expectations early on? What's most important right now as we start the season for them?
Um, I would say that a huge benefit that we have this year is, like I mentioned a little bit ago, that depth, that quality depth that we have this year, because it's going to allow us to move lineups around a little bit more than even we have in the past throughout the especially early stages of season. Um, I think we talk with our team a lot about how like everybody has to earn a spot in lineups. Nothing's given. And we base placement in lineups on consistency and scoring potential. And really, those two pieces, we factor in like all training, warm ups at the meet, previous competitions, all of that. And that's how we determine our lineups and then kind of balance in that rest time that's needed for some athletes throughout the year and things like that. So, especially on the leg events on floor and vault, you might see somebody who competes for 2 or 3 weeks and then has a week off. And typically, what we'll do when we have a rest planned like that is we'll even drop the numbers back in training to like really let their legs rest a little bit and recover and feel fresh kind of coming back into that next week following. And I think that that's something that we've really been able to kind of work through over recent years, and I expect to also be able to benefit us this season.
So you kind of touched on it, but the depth of the team being able to have more depth, has that kind of created more of a not challenging, but kind of more competitive, like train harder spirit among the athletes? Is that kind of more what you're seeing?
Yeah, I think like on our team, I think people come to the University of Florida because they want to be surrounded by greatness, and I think that um, everybody who's on our team is up for a challenge, and they have that kind of iron sharpens iron mentality of I want to be around the best, and it's gonna raise me up to be even better than I was before, and just being around people that are on a similar path to you and have that high achieving vision, it's easier to keep yourself on track when you have a day where, you maybe don't feel the best, or you're a little distracted or whatever it might be. It just helps with kind of being able to reset yourself a little bit quicker and get back on track.
All right, and my final question about the preseason, is there anybody that you think fans are sleeping on for this upcoming team? Anybody you think?
Sleeping on?
Yeah, like shock. Who's gonna be shocked when they come out?
Um, I I don't know. I think I guess I don't know what other people's perceptions are, you know? I
Mhm,
think maybe, like, somebody new on our team who's been really impressive, like Amelia, Disador, our freshman.
mhm.
She's gonna be definitely something to keep an eye on floor and vault. Um, Bars, she's working, but it's just, not a strength of hers, and, I think she'll continue to get better there. Um, Really, our whole freshman class is they're a really talented group, and I think that they've been putting in a lot of work, and I'm excited to see how they continue to adjust, especially through, like, the first couple weeks of season, and see how they position themselves for some of those potential lineup spots.
Awesome. All right, I wanna shift gears. Let's switch to more of a Worlds conversation. So, you obviously went to Worlds with Leanne Wong, the Bo CEO. I want to
And
know
Sky,
from
don't forget Sky.
And Sky, you were so right. That's
Yep.
my bad. I get so blinded by the Bo CEO sometimes. Uh, um, all right. From your perspective, what's something fans don't fully see or understand about the world's experience?
Um, I think the thing that most people don't see is really just, like, the grind of the whole trip. And I think there's probably stories out there and things like that, but, the fact that you're gone for probably about, I don't remember exactly how many days, I think it was 22 or something like that, about 3 weeks.
Hmm.
Um, and you have a very long travel day, over to the other side of the world. We actually flew to Tokyo, and spent 3 or 4 days training there at a university gymnastics facility, Juntendo it was called, and, 2-a-day practices while you're there, and then you have another, I think it was, like, 8-hour flight from there to Indonesia, um, after those 4 days of training, and while you're in Indonesia, you're still doing those 2-a-day practices all the time, and they're fast workouts, like, you go and, you get I think it's maybe oh, sorry, actually, I just lied. This year they changed it, we only had one-a-day practices when we got to Indonesia,
We appreciate the fact
but
check.
it still is, like, it's every single day. You get to the training hall, you work out, no soft landings, nothing like that, and, it's like the ability to manage your body and arrive at the destination with, enough physical fitness to be able to, kind of manage that training load throughout that time. I think that that's something that a lot of people maybe just don't kinda see from the outside.
It's good to know the behind the scenes, especially for gym fans that maybe aren't super into elite or just don't know a ton about it. I feel like they think these gymnasts kind of just show up and go see the sights and then compete. And there's so much more that goes into it, especially being on the other side of the world and that time difference. Like, that's not really something you can train for leading up to 3 weeks. You'd have to change your whole
It
life.
was
So,
that I'll be honest, that was, like, very trippy for me, just it was weird to wrap my head around the fact that we were 11 hours ahead
mm,
of everybody at home, and it actually in some ways, it was a little easier to stay in touch with people back home because we were almost exact opposite time, so, like, as we were getting up and getting moving in the morning and doing things, like, people were wrapping up their days here, And so it was a little bit easier than like when we were over in Belgium or Paris for those trips, just because like that 5 or 6 hour difference is sometimes it just doesn't match up as well. So like that was different. But yeah, there's really not any time at all for sightseeing on those trips. Like when we were in Japan, we went one day. We went to this. I can't remember the name of it actually, but it was a big, like, Buddha statue kinda thing. It was really cool, but, that was, like, one evening we got to go do that, and really, once we got to Indonesia, the hotel we were staying at was amazing. It was, like, I guess it's one of the best hotels in the whole country,
Cool.
but it was, like, really fancy, great food, like, huge buffet. There was, like, 10 different, like, cultural cuisine stations for every meal that you got to pick from and all this stuff. But it was literally right across the street from the arena, and the training halls were walking distance down the street from that. So we walked every day back and forth just to kinda get out and move a little bit, but other than that, there wasn't really a lot of sightseeing in the area. The team went to a fancy mall one day to do some shopping and things like that. But other than that, it's pretty much like you wake up, you eat, you walk to training, you walk back, you eat lunch, you do treatment, you do some homework because all these girls are in classes right now. Like,
Mhm.
three of the four were current college student athletes, and Dulcie is a senior, and she's busting it in school too. So they've got to stay up on their classes while they're halfway across the world, and then you have dinner and sometimes a little meeting or something like that, and just
That's
rinse and
great.
repeat.
I didn't even think about the fact that it is smack in the middle of the fall semester of school.
Yeah,
That that's intense.
yeah,
That's intense.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Especially Dulcie being she's a senior, so high school student. That's like that's 8 hours you're missing a day. That's a
Mhm,
lot.
mhm. Yeah, I think a
Impressive.
lot of people forget about that. Like, just because you're I don't know, it's another layer of the puzzle, right? Is like you're just a regular student athlete, like you've got your college competitions and trainings and all of that, but on top of that, when you're diving into the elite world as well, it's a significant additional layer of time commitment, and you don't just get excused from school things and stuff like that. So, even though you're representing your country and, part of Team
You'd think
USA,
you'd
the
think
the
you'd get a pass on that one
yeah,
assignment.
no, the professors, they still make you take those tests and turn your homework in.
Oh, God bless. That's good for them. Those girls are on top of it, and that's what
Mhm.
matters. Okay, moving to more of the conversation about Leanne's silver medal. When we zoom out, what stands out most to you about her performance and that moment itself?
I think, what I was most proud of for her, most excited for her, was that she was able to go through a college career and have all the experiences that she did and be pre-med in school and start her business and start a nonprofit foundation and do all of these things and then return to an individual world championships and achieve the same result, which I think is just really a testament to her mentality and hard work and all of that perseverance to be able to um, still achieve great things. And it was just really a special moment, I would say.
Yeah, no, this is I get blinded by all of her extracurricular that I see Leanne, I think, oh, CEO, I get distracted.
That's like I tell people all the time when anytime that I feel like I'm busy or I have too much going on,
You
I
think
just like
about Leanne.
look out at her in the gym. I'm like I cannot complain. Like I should be doing like three more things right now because she's always got a
Honestly,
million things going on.
I'm gonna start using that at gymnastics now. That's what I'm
Hmm.
gonna start doing. That's a good tip. I needed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All right,
It's like
so
you can
how
always you can always take on a couple more things. It's not that big of a deal.
amen. Thanks, Leanne. The US's production rate is going to go up because of Leanne Wong. All right. So how do you help athletes process outcomes when the public conversation gets louder than the actual accomplishments? For example, obviously Leanne had like the showing of her life, the greatest meet ever. And then, as some would say, she got a little robbed and ended up getting silver when a lot of people felt that she deserved the gold. And there's a big conversation of that, just giving a little background if somebody's listening and doesn't really know what we're talking about. Big on social media, a lot of discourse. How did you kind of help her process that and the public conversation kind of overshadowing her amazing competition?
I think that it's a big part of our development here as a program. Like I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. Obviously, everybody wants to win, right? But you have to focus on what you can control, and it's it's much more sustainable in the grand scheme of life in general, not just gymnastics, but to be more process oriented and have your definition of success lie in those variables that you can control. And so I think like you started that out saying, she had the meet of her life. I think that right there, the fact that daily we preach focusing on your process and doing the best you can do and all of those pieces of the puzzle. I think that's why she was able to handle that moment with as much grace as she was. I don't believe that if you haven't spent time developing that mindset and mentality and approach to things prior to a moment like that, I don't think that there's a way to snap your fingers and be okay with it, right? So, like, that's definitely a growth process, and it takes a lot of time and energy and effort and attention to be able to have that mentality. But I think it serves you very well throughout the rest of your life in whatever endeavors you choose to take on.
Absolutely. Well, any other thoughts on that moment? The floor is yours. Just kidding.
No, it was really special to be a part of it and be able to support her and see her do her thing. Like, I think that's one huge area of growth that we've seen in not only her, but a lot of our athletes throughout their time on campus here is just an ability to develop an ownership of your own gymnastics and really be able to um, kind of accomplish what you want to accomplish and set your sights high and know that it's going to take hard work, but at the end of the day, if you give your best on that daily basis throughout the whole time that you're preparing, then just having like a sense of calm or acceptance of how the chips fall.
Absolutely. And like you said earlier, that's such an important life skill.
Yeah.
Not that I think that the gym internet will be a much big thing in real life, like
No, because
adult life
everybody
after,
wants
but
gold
like
medals all the time. That's all that matters, right? Like, come on.
I know, literally.
At
I'm
the
like,
end of the
it might
day,
be a
like
little
only
different.
one person in the whole world gets to hold up that gold medal, right? Like,
I know. It's listen, and like you said, the chips fall how they fall, and it truly is
yeah.
about how you handle it after, and I
And
feel like
sometimes, like when you're in those big moments, like whether it's at the World Championships or at a dual meet in the O Dome in January or NCAA championships or regionals or whatever it is, like sometimes you have your best meet and somebody else is just a little bit better that day. And if you can really look back and with like all honesty in your heart, you know that you did everything you could to prepare for that moment and you did your best, then there's nothing to be disappointed about. Like you can, feel for not having the outcome be what you really hoped for, but if you really did everything you could to prepare and you were ready and you executed, then it is what it is.
Oh, for sure. Wow, you should, like, take that snippet and bring that to, like, corporate America. I feel like they really would have valued that conversation there. That was great.
Depends on how corporate you're talking.
Yeah, literally. That's so true. All right. I want to move into some women's college gymnastics NCAA landscape questions to wrap us up. The first one being obviously, there's been some changes this year, which has caused a lot of discussion around these updates. I want to start with the NQS change. Can you give the quick background on why this shift happened?
Um, so you're talking about counting
Hmm.
all scores in the formula?
Yep.
So our coaches association actually approved this change. It would have been in the summer or spring of 2024. Um, and the way that our legislative processes work, um, our coaches association puts forward proposals. As a membership, we vote on what we want to pass forward. And there are specific categories that require additional approval by various bodies above and beyond us. So the most common ones there would be anything that's like directly impacting our championship, whether that's related to the placement or selection of teams or funding or anything like that. Those all need to be approved by the NCAA Gymnastics Committee. And then above and beyond them, that this is where there's been some shift lately. So it used to be the Sport Oversight Committee would review proposals from a variety of sports, and they were a higher up NCAA committee. And with some of the recent Division One structure changes, those committees have been kind of reformatted. And gymnastics is actually a national collegiate championship sport, meaning that our NCAA championship is actually open to schools from any of the three divisions as long as they meet the requirements to have qualifying scores. And so, because we're a national collegiate sport, we fall into a different category than those D1 championship sports. And they're still in the process of kind of evaluating what our new committee structure is actually going to look like. And that's what's really caused some of the delays with the implementation of this proposal. And originally, when the proposal was passed by our coaches association in May of 2024, the goal was for the effective date to be January of 2026. So originally, when this proposal went through our association, everybody was under the impression that it was going to go into effect this season. Um, Now, I will say that I think most coaches felt that the NCAA committee was going to approve it last summer, and then they thought it was gonna happen this summer, but with all these changes that are happening at the NCAA level, there were delays, and, um, we were informed through this fall that, they were continuing to try to get the proposal in front of the right group to gain that final approval that it needed. And then I think maybe about, what has it been, a month or maybe a little less even, 2 or 3 weeks, we were informed that, they actually had approved it. So, that's kind of the long story of why it seems to be like it happened very quick, but in reality, it was actually a pretty drawn out
Long
process.
process.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question for you is what problem was this new revision trying to solve?
I don't know if it was necessarily trying to solve a problem. I think that, um, it was trying to maybe reduce confusion when it came to how impactful individual meets were to a school's qualification score. So I think, like, when we're looking at collegiate gymnastics and trying to figure out ways that we can, take that next step in terms of pulling in more casual sports fans to become gymnastics fans. You have to start looking at ways that are a little more easy for the general sports fan to understand when it comes to, selection and rankings and things like that. And the traditional NQS formula, I think one thing that people started to really notice is that um, it was really only weighing about 50% of most schools' seasons in their qualification score. And if you look at, football or basketball or baseball, if you had any of those sports in a situation where only 50% of their events were counting towards their selection for postseason, people would think that was kind of crazy, right? So I think that was a big piece of it. I think also to really just provide a more accurate representation of a team's full body of work throughout the year and find ways to reward some of that consistency that's so valuable in gymnastics. And um, keeping in mind that it's important to not penalize a team maybe who has a little bit of a slow start to the point where it completely eliminates them from the possibility of being considered for postseason. But also just kind of finding that balance of how much needs to count and factoring in, like, if somebody has a meet where half their team gets the flu and they can't put full lineups up, like that's why it was important to still be able to drop a low score. And the flip side, if you go to one of those meets where all of a sudden it's Christmas and everybody's getting crazy high scores, then you kind of want to balance those two ends of the spectrum out, right? So that's where that formula was kind of developed to still drop the high and the low now from all the scores, but to count a much larger portion of the schedule.
Absolutely. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
From a team standpoint, how does this change the way coaches and athletes are thinking about the season and approaching the season?
I can't speak for everybody, but I think that the big decision that schools need to make is, are they going to try to come out a little bit stronger at the beginning of the year because they know that all those scores are going to be a part of their qualification process? Or are they going to stick with a similar strategy to what they've used in the past, where they maybe start out just a little bit slower and then continue to build through season? Um, and I think that year to year and program to program, that can shift. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to it. I think it depends heavily on the makeup of your team and their strengths and maybe their injury history, their level of preparedness throughout the fall. All of those variables can really have pretty significant impacts on what's best for you. Because really, at the end of the day, you want your team to be doing their best, cleanest, most consistent gymnastics in the end of March and early April, so that you are in a position to be able to advance through that postseason tournament and potentially position yourself to win a championship. And if you have the right team construction to be able to come out really strong and maintain that all year long, then some schools will do that and it'll benefit them. But really, at the end of the day, you need to have good enough scores all season long to secure your appropriate seed in postseason, and then that's when you really want to, kind of let loose and have your big guns ready.
I think the consistency part is actually it's something that we talk about often at gymnastics now in terms of writing articles and doing our
Mhm.
previews. It's such a big piece, and I actually like the changes, because I think it highlights how much that consistency is going to play
Mhm.
into kind of equation of who gets there and who doesn't.
I think one really interesting piece of it to me, and I don't know if this has been highlighted enough. But historically, once you had an NQS established, a performance in an individual competition could not hurt your ranking. Like, it could not lower your NQS. You could have a score that didn't change your NQS and other teams could pass you, but it was impossible for you to lower your own NQS and ranking. And now that's not the case. So now all the way, like, previously, if you went, your first 6 meets of the year, you had 3 home, 3 away, and they were good, strong meets. You could do nothing the rest of regular season and have a decent seed secured for regionals. And now that's just not the case. Like, that's not how the math is going to work, right? And so I think that there's going to be some storylines potentially throughout the year. Like, if a team has an injury halfway through the year that really impacts their ability to score on certain events, you could see a team start dropping in the rankings more rapidly than in the past, where previously, they were just kind of trying to hold on to that NQS they had and hope that too many teams couldn't pass them. But now if they start putting up lower scores than what they had, they're actually going to move themselves down the rankings. So I think that that'll be something very different to keep an eye on, and hopefully it doesn't happen to teams, but it's a very real possibility.
How do you think that puts more emphasis on teams needing that depth in case those things happen, in case somebody gets injured or sick? Does that do you think that this will kind of push teams? I know we're always looking for depth, but I feel like this is going to really highlight the need for that.
I think more than just highlighting the need for depth, it's the quality of the depth that you have, because there's a difference between having extra routines that can compete if needed and having routines that have the scoring potential to hit those target marks that you're really looking for to position your team for a specific seed.
Yeah, no, so true. It's going to be, I'm so interested to see how this all plays out this upcoming season. All right, moving on. What is the latest with the scoreboard and why does it matter to the sport?
The scoreboard. I haven't been asked about that in a while.
We're
So
on it.
the scoreboard is going to continue to function similarly to last season for this year. The WCGA has still hired the supervisor officials and the 8 members of the scoreboard. Teams are going to be uploading videos throughout the year to an online platform that those evaluators on the scoreboard have access to. We've actually had a few demos from the company Got Scored that's hosting those videos for us, and they've kind of showed us the platform they've developed in terms of what the evaluators see and then what the judges see, because they will be receiving feedback from the system this year if they choose to accept it. And I think that's a really big step from last year. Just getting closer to the original intent of that program, and really just kind of collecting as much data from it as possible, and trying to see how we can continue to reevaluate and adjust to improve the system over time.
How does this help with transparency in the sport?
Um, I don't know. Like,
That's okay. That's an
I think
answer.
that, like, I don't know. I think that I don't know if it helps with transparency. I think the goal is to create a system where judges are able to receive continuous feedback and education throughout the year, um, with the hopes that throughout a season and over time, like, the longer that they're in the system, the better they become as judges. And I think finding ways to continue to educate um, in the sport is really, really important, whether that's judges or coaches or gymnasts themselves or fans. I think it's really important to have an understanding of the rules and why the sport operates the way that it does. I think that's like from the athlete standpoint, that's something that we spend quite a bit of time on, like making sure that they understand skill values and the requirements and things like that. Because sometimes if a routine maybe doesn't go quite the way that you planned, you have the ability to adapt if needed in moments, and especially like on bars and beam. Um, and you can save yourself, a tenth or a couple tenths off start value or things like that if you're able to think quick and stay on your toes and you have an understanding of the rules. Where if you're just a robot and used to doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and if something goes a little off, then you don't know how to correct that.
That was a great answer. You went from "I don't know" to a wonderful answer. Good job.
Well, that's not transparency. Like that's not. It's like I
Yeah,
think
no,
that
I know what you
there's
mean.
value
It's
to it, right? But it's
yeah.
I think transparency, like to me, if we're trying to improve transparency, like I think the ultimate way to do it is to create a computer program that runs on iPads, and every judge tracks their shorthand on an iPad, and it automatically shows it up on the screens and on the TVs and all of that live in a meet so that people can see, right? But like I
That's
don't know
so
how realistic that is, but that would be very transparent.
that would be the most transparent you could get, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know how the judges would feel about that, but
I
that
don't know
hey, it's a
either.
thought. It's
I
a
don't know either,
thought.
but that would be extremely transparent.
Yeah, no, you're so right. All right. The last question for this section is big picture. How do you feel college gymnastics is moving? Do you feel it's moving in a good direction right now? Is there anything that you think still needs work? Just kind of like overall thoughts.
I think college gymnastics is moving in a great direction. We have a close friend of our coaches association. His name is Brian Audia, and he tells people that we're a rocket ship. And I think that the quicker that people start to realize that, like obviously in our gymnastics world, we've seen significant changes in viewership and attendance and all of that over the last handful of years. But I think the sooner that casual sports fans understand what gymnastics can be, um, really sky's the limit in terms of what gymnastics can achieve.
Absolutely. I agree. All right. Quick wrap. What's one meet Florida fans should circle early on their calendar? A
One
need to
meet,
watch meet. Yes.
uh, I'll say our senior night meet against LSU. It's going to be on a Sunday, which is unusual for the SEC. But they moved it there for a TV slot. So I think that's always a big matchup for us. Nice rivalry with that team. Really,
Good
our home
senior
schedule
night.
this year is stacked. Like we've got LSU, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Alabama all at home here in Gainesville. Actually, I think with preseason rankings that just came out, every single meet on our schedule this year has at least one team in the top 25 to start the year. So I think that's pretty impressive. We like to start out our season with a quad meet. And typically we, bring in some schools from other areas out of our conference to be able to experience that SEC atmosphere and like a really engaging fan base. So like this year we've got UNC and Temple and West Virginia coming in for that first meet. That'll be fun. Kayla's sister's on West Virginia's team, and Adrian, Jeremy, and I have connections with the staff at UNC and Temple both, going back to our days at Nebraska way back in the day. So
Oh,
it'd be
wow.
fun to see some friends too, and should be a good meet.
Absolutely. Can you kind of sorry, I'm going on one more question. Can you kind of explain the difference for in season of a quad meet versus just a regular standard competition between two teams? What does that kind of give the athletes? Obviously, because we know if you get to nationals, you're looking at a quad meet both days. Really, you're looking at a very large competition, but
Mhm.
that's how it's set up. Can you kind of talk about what that does for the athletes to have those in season?
So yeah, I think that the dual meets are great for TV because they're super efficient. I think even for fans in attendance at an event, they're a little easier to follow because you do like true alternating competition, and they're only focused on one routine at a time. So I think they're a little more like viewer friendly from that standpoint, and that's why we try to keep the vast majority of our SEC meets as true dual meets. That head to head piece is really important for sport in general, I think. The quad meet piece, I think it fits with our postseason format, and with what has it been, 2 years now maybe that we've done like the double dual format where we alternate vault and beam and bars and floor. I think that timing has been a nice adjustment for TV purposes and for keeping the meet a little more evenly balanced with when routines are finishing. It does take a little bit more time, and especially like when you're on vaults and bars, that wait in between competitors for you. It's just something that you have to learn how to adjust to. So that's why we always try to get one quad meet at least in our regular season, just for like our freshmen and people who haven't experienced it before, to be able to kind of feel that out and understand what it's like to have to stand there and wait a little bit longer. Because in dual meets, you're just going back and forth, and it goes pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, final question. I promise. Then we're out. In your dual role as associate head coach and GM, what are you most excited to see come together this year, team-wise or sport-wide, whichever?
I think the number one thing would be just watching this team continue to grow and develop, through their motto that they've established, the promise. Just seeing them really come together and support each other, uplift each other, and work towards a common goal it's going to be really special this year. In terms of my like dual role capacity, really just finding any additional opportunities or outlets that are available for our team to be able to maximize their time on campus here. So, we've started some collaborations with different groups on campus. Florida is a top 5 public university, and I think people sometimes forget, just because we're in the SEC, that academic standard is like very, very high here, and us with the ability to kind of use some of those resources on campus, to find ways to get better, whether that's through help with social media collaborations and things like that in our College of Journalism and Communications, or we have a sports analytics lab on campus who has 2 students that are in the gym with us multiple days a week, and they're developing some computer programs to help us track different skills and deductions and things like that. So
cool.
Yeah, just like really cool things that I think trying to think outside the box and find any way we can to maybe get half a tenth better, because a lot of times that's what those big meets come down to. So
Absolutely. Well, that's amazing. We thank you for your time.
of
We
course,
appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to say before we head out?
go Gators.
Well, thank you so much for listening to our lovely interview conducted by Carissa and not me, and all
So
the
be
things.
gentle.
Hopefully, be nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the future, both of us will be able to talk to our guests. But we really thank Owen for calling in, talking to us, giving us all this insight, and such a great look ahead of the NCAA season. That being said, make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe on YouTube, and make sure to follow us across social for Decoded as well as Gymnastics Now. So you can get all the latest NCAA gymnastics news and all of the things as we dive into NCAA season. So thanks for listening, and yeah, peace. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Love ya.